My dad said, 18, he made me pay $100. He goes, yo, you owe me 100. I said, for what? For rent. You owe me 100 a week. I said, oh, I'm out of here. So I left there, bought my first duplex when I was 19 years old. I started my company out of an attic. Now here I am, 48 properties later. It was something that took me a lot of years to figure out.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. I am Steve Rozenberg, and the goal of this podcast is very simple. My goal is to do everything I can to bring on the best people that are in any kind of industry. Normally, it's obviously trade industry. But what I've learned is there's so much to learn from people out there. Everyone walking around that walks past you, they've all got a story. Sometimes we never take time to actually stop and ask that person a story. And so I met this gentleman through another mutual friend, and he said, man, you got to talk to Sam. Sam's got a story. He's got a life. And I thought, man, what a great way to hear his story while you guys hear it on the podcast. So Sam DeMaio, Sam, first of all, brother, I know we talked a little bit, text message back and forth, but it's nice to finally meet you and put a face to the name.
Absolutely. Very nice to finally see you too.
So give me the quick Reader's Digest version. I think you and I are both old enough to know what that means. Give me the Reader's Digest version of Sam, who you are, what you've done, and we can kind of go down that path.
Cool. I'm Italian, so I like to talk a lot. So I'll try and kind of bring it down and kind of summarize it. So, went to Catholic school my whole life. I feel like I was an entrepreneur from young, 8th grade, buying gumballs at 10 cents and coming to school and having a little book and selling them for 25 cents. And at the end of the week, make sure everybody pays me. Going on to, high school, started, joined the military. I joined the Army. I was a Cavalry Scout, 17 years old. So my junior summer, never had that really. I went to boot camp, Fort Knox, Kentucky, finished my senior year. My senior summer, went to advanced training, came out of that. And then, unfortunately, ended up in Camden County Jail. I was in Camden County Jail for 5 years. I wasn't an inmate, though. I was a correctional officer. So I did, the correctional thing as well as the military thing in unison. Bought my first duplex when I was 19 years old. Kind of learned that my dad was a plumber, so I kind of knew how to do plumbing. But anything else, I really didn't. My goal was to be a police officer at that time. I bought my first duplex, didn't have the real money to fix it up, so I went and bought, YouTube wasn't around, so I went to Home Depot, bought the Home Depot 1, 2, 3 book, and that was my YouTube back then, right? Now, all you got to do is, it's real easy, search how to do this, and you're done. Like, you literally can do it. You can get a degree right off of YouTube, right? But before that, got home, the Home Depot book, fixed my whole duplex up, in a couple of weeks, got it rented out. My mortgage payment was $850. I rented the top unit out for $750. I wanted to rent the other unit out for $750. I was going to make money, but my dad said, 18, he made me pay $100 for my birthday. He goes, yo, you owe me 100. I said, for what? For rent. You owe me 100 a week. So when I bought my duplex, he said he wanted half of the duplex money. I said, oh, I'm out of here. So I left there, moved in one side, and now here I am. 48 properties later. I didn't get there easy. It wasn't a quick turnaround. It was something that took me a lot of years to figure out. Once I had 10 years in, because I switched over to a police officer, I already had my construction company going, had 11 full-time employees. I started a flooring store out of a basement, and, I started my company out of an attic. So, I bought my first truck, was a minivan. All the other cops I was friends with were making fun of me, like, look at Sam, this big dude coming out of his little minivan. And I did, though. I had all my samples. I had my carpet samples, my roof samples, all that fun stuff. But I bought that minivan for $2,200. That thing paid me dividends over my life because, I remember where I came from. I'll never forget where I came from and, where we're at now. Because when I left the police department 10 years, I was already making the same money as I was back then. And then I started flipping houses. I bought my first house for $30,000. At that time, I had my one guy with me. Took me 6 months to fix it up because I only worked on the weekends there. Whatever money I had collected for the week, I would just go and put it all in there. All in. Sold that house for 120, and then I had money, right? So I had 120 grand in my name now from the 30. Bought my second house, bought it for 70. I fixed it up in a month for 30. So I had 100 in. I sold it for 170. That was my model that year for 17 of them. Every dollar I made from them, I bought another house from. So that's how I flipped 2 houses. I buy a house cash. I flip 2 houses. I buy a house cash. Now I got 48 rental properties. That pays for my whole entire lifestyle, my life. My business now is to a point where, we have 65 full-time employees. I started another division of one-day bathroom. I bought a marketing company, which is Today's Shopper. It was a magazine, local magazine in business for 30 years. The owner got sick last year. He unfortunately just passed away last week, but the guy was great. He said, Sam, I remember you when you were 23 years old. I always knew you were a hustler. He's like, my business, I want to give it to someone like you because I know you'll blow it up. I'm like, I appreciate that, Gary. I'm not really interested. And then more I talked to him, I kind of felt bad. And I said, do me a favor, get an evaluation. I got the evaluation. Again, I always go to the pros. I went to my accountant. My accountant said, hey, Sam, if you don't buy it, I like to buy it. I said, why don't we just buy it together? So we split it, and now we have a marketing company. So I learned that whole marketing aspect. And again, sales is a lot about, hey, knowing how to market. And I learned marketing in the last 3 years because before that, I was mostly word of mouth only. And that's what got me to a certain point. And now my scalability, once I got my numbers right and we dialed it in, I got a CFO now, and numbers now is rinse and repeat. So we're growing at a rapid pace.
Wow, that is an awesome story, man. And there's a lot obviously to unpack. Let me ask you this: in your journey, the journey of Sam, what's something that nobody claps for, nobody knows about, but it was a pivotal point and it changed everything for you? Maybe an introduction, a belief, a thought, but like no one knows about it. You don't really talk about it, but you always remember it.
Got it. So I think an important part in life, obviously, is knowing where you came from. So a lot of people see all the glitz and the glam, and I'm out and I'm down the shore and I'm away on vacation, and they see all these things and go, oh, dude, must be nice to be that guy. Not knowing that even to this day, they don't see the background things that I'm working. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Even though I'm not working on a job per se, like I used to be with my hands, I'm using my brain, and I'm trying to put right people in the right positions to be able to make my life easier, make everyone's job easier, and to build something that's sustainable, and then be able to take that and be able to give back to the community. I could tell you, just in the other room, we bought 500 school bags that we'll be giving out through this town here that we live in and the next town over. So, and we do something like that every single quarter. I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and it's really important to me. That's something money can't buy.
Yeah, I agree. Now, on this journey, the one thing that I have learned, and you tell me if I'm wrong, the one thing, if you look at people that are successful, like yourself and other people that we both know, the one common thread is a belief of certainty, meaning without a doubt, everything could happen, but they're still, maybe quietly, they're going, I'm going to win. Like there's distractions, there's employees, there's problems, finances as we grow our businesses. But there's that belief of certainty that this is going to work, right? And I think that even Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, everybody has that certainty of belief. Was there ever a time that maybe you were going to quit, that you're like, man, maybe this isn't worth it? Like because listen, I know, I don't know your story specific, but I know the story that we all live. And there's a lot of times when it tests your faith of that certainty. Do you ever have that on the way that sticks out? That's like, man, that was a time that I almost quit.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, there's no quitting in my vocabulary. I'll never quit. I don't care. You could beat me, drag me, make it look like horrible end of the world type thing. I'm still coming back tomorrow. As long as my eyes open up, I'm still coming back for more. I'll never quit. And I feel like I took my mentality from the military on, hey, it's hard, but you got to keep going. Once you break through, I think another thing is like people who wrestled. I think people who wrestled, you're dependent upon yourself. You only have you, especially in the beginning. Once you start growing and delegating, it's different. But in the beginning, it's not an easy task to be able to run a business. You got so many things that can happen to you, and they still happen to me every day. But you just got to be able to overcome them and know, hey, that's just part of this journey. And that's also the beautiful thing about the journey, because, once you get to a certain level and you look back and you say, oh my God, look at these awesome things that I've accomplished over the years. And look how hard I thought it was. And I never thought I would get to a point here. And now I'm at this point now. Now what's next? You know what I mean? And I feel like as you start growing, meeting people like you, Steve, and, reading a book called Traction from Gino Wickman,
Yep.
for me, that was like a game changer because, again, I never really looked at anybody but myself. I always kind of depended on me. I always got things done myself. I knew, in my head at the time, I didn't believe in coaching because I thought, why I don't need a coach. I can do it all myself. I'm a badass. I can pretty much figure out anything. And that was my mentality, and it was the wrong mentality. I could have scaled a lot faster, but again, I never worked for anybody. I only worked for myself in construction. So, I was a bunch of trial and error. I'm like, ooh, this is working. Like I would go there and I would charge this amount. I'd make this amount, write it down. Everything was notes. I'd build out templates for everything, like a hardwood floor. Like even I knew nothing about it. What did I do? I went and talked to a rep who sells hardwood. I learned everything about hardwood. I learned everything about the installation. Now I knew it. Then I would go to a house. I made a template, measure the square feet, write it in here. Times it by this number. This is what I charge the customer. Then I went to my competitors, Home Depot, local flooring stores. At that time, they didn't know me. I'd walk around. I see their pricing. I knew where I needed the price to be. And at that time, again, it was a race to the bottom for me because I didn't know. I'd be the cheapest price every time. I get every job every time. When I opened up, at that time it was called Service Magic, then it was Home Advisor. Now it's Angie's. I did that years ago, but I stopped for a while. I literally would get I would walk home with 3 or 4 checks a day. And you can call me 9:30 at night, Steve. I was coming out to your house at 10 o'clock. I'll sell you that job. I don't care if it was $500 or $5,000. I come get it.
Let me ask you this. To be where you are today, the Sam that I'm talking to right now, what beliefs did you have to let go of to be the Sam today?
Okay, so a couple things. Number one, I always say there is common denominators. Every time I talk to another entrepreneur or a successful person, there's always something that they're always doing, and it's maybe in a different way, but it's always the same. So it's always staying consistent, right? You got to cut loose the negativity. So as soon as one belief was, hey, I'm always positive, but when you start hanging out with negative people, whatever reason, that starts to wear off on you. You become negative. But if you start hanging with positive people, then only things positive happen. And I really believe in manifestation because anytime I think that I want something or need something, it's always come to me in my life. So as far as beliefs,
both good and bad, right? Both good and bad, it'll come to you.
Absolutely. I try and get the bad out. But our mission statement is get it, give it. So it's, hey, understand it and then give it to somebody else on the work side. But on the other side is, hey, you're doing well, give it back to somebody else. I really feel like it's important in life just to be able to do that for people.
Well, you obviously with the backpacks, and I'm sure you do other things,
Yep.
For the young youth, which is very commendable. You think if you didn't choose this path of being an entrepreneur, like where would you be today?
It's a great question. So, I look back to grade school. In 6th grade, I think I wanted to be a priest. Right, I was the top altar boy. Like literally, every sounds bad, but every funeral, I'd be the guy. I get to leave for school. I make $5. I was a happy kid, right? And then even growing up, I kind of learned on which ways I wanted to go, and I feel like that's what built me up. That consistency of constantly trying and never giving up, just kind of adapting. And instead of a mistake, it's more of a lesson. Take those lessons and the things that are actually working for me, do more of those. And do less or push off totally the things that aren't working and those mistakes that I've made. This way, when I could push forward, it's just that much stronger.
So you said that you have 65 employees. How do you keep them inspired to the vision? Because it starts getting diluted, right? The less you're in front of them as much as you were with maybe the 1 and 2 employees. How do you keep that vision for people that are growing their business to make sure their team comes ready, inspired, ready to walk through walls for you? And any advice for them?
Yeah. So I feel like, in the beginning, especially if it was me and my helper for 20 years.
Yeah.
That helper has grown to be my top guy.
Mm-hmm.
He knows exactly what I want. We do a lot of high end projects. A lot different from the scalability, which my other company does. You can't really scale high end projects, but I think once I decided, hey, look, I got traction. I hired the coach. That was a team effort, not just a me effort. We did it as a team. We built out accountability for every position we had within the company. Because before that, what we did was, we had a great team. Everyone did everything, and no one was accountable for anything. So when there was a mistake, it was, hey, I thought you. Oh, I thought you. Nothing happened, right? Nothing good, nothing bad, other than needs to get done. But then we actually put people in positions, took the time to be able to work it out. And listen, it took 2.5, 3 years, and it's always going to be a work in progress. It's always going to continue as you grow. Finding the way to be able to do that is going to be the key to success. And then also, replacement ladder. You know what I mean? You got to start replacing yourself. And I feel like, then lower level tasks like the admin, you get rid of that stuff first. And you say, hey, this is what you do. This is the job description. Here you are. Hire those people. And then you move up, maybe to the marketing, and you take the marketing people, get that done. And then, you get your sales guy done, and you get your delivery done as far as the installations done. And you work your way all the way up to, replace yourself. And then once you replace yourself, now I feel like my job is to work on the culture of everybody. So my job is, my project managers who, talk to the front, facing employees that are in front of the customers every single day. We got to let them know from top to bottom, especially the bottom, what our vision is, what our mission is, what our beliefs are. And I feel like, once I started doing that and, it just naturally developed as in while I was working and learning the traction and, how I can be better myself. I feel like that just explodes out onto other people because energy, you could read energy. I feel energy and it pushes back. And that's what I feel like with all my employees. I have all winners. I really do. I can't tell you. I used to have a couple guys, to be upset coming to work like, hey, do me a favor, go home. I don't need you. I only want winners here. That's all we want. I don't need all A players per se, but I want a C player that I can bring to a B player that has a great attitude that I could teach and train and make them successful. And that's how I feel like what my mission is right now. That's what my calling is.
That's awesome, man. You mentioned before, like many people, we don't believe in coaching. I didn't even know what coaching was, to be completely honest. I didn't come from that world, so I didn't even know it existed. I realized though that I had been coached by, to be an airline pilot. You don't just read a book and you don't just watch a video. You actually have to get a flight instructor to take you up in the sky to show you how to manipulate the controls. And I started realizing, I have had coaches, I have had mentors. When I learned real estate, I went to that big building, like you said, had books in it called a library. And I checked out a book a week on wealth, and everything was tied towards real estate. And I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. So I started reading a book a week on real estate, knew nothing about it, but I still didn't know how to do a real estate transaction, a double escrow close, a wholesale, a flip. I didn't know those things. So I looked at the time, I think it was MySpace or something, Craigslist. So I go on there and I look and like, maybe someone exists. Sure enough, they did. So I started seeing the pattern. And for me, the pattern was these people are helping me bypass the mistakes that I would make. It would take me years, assuming I would even make it and be successful on my own. Cause you can't just figure out how to drive a car on your own. There's a lot of things that have to happen to learn how to drive a car. Same thing in any kind of transaction. And then when I built a business, I thought, okay, when I learned to fly, I had a flight instructor. When I learned real estate, I got a real estate mentor. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a business coach exists. Back on MySpace. Yep, sure enough. What was the aha or, moment for you? You said you didn't do it. Obviously something had to happen that you said, you know what, maybe I should give this a shot. Was there an aha? Was it a slow burn? What was that?
So I guess I'll tell you, aha came indirectly on Facebook to basically, I'll tell you the quick story. So again, everything I thought I was doing is great. It's great. Like I have a phenomenal team. Everyone I do is perfect. Like I couldn't be happier. Right. And I always think there's something better. Like I always feel like I'm not doing something good enough. Always. That's in my head. And that's what also drives me forward. My head drives me forward. You'll see, there's no way you could do better than what I'm doing. And I'll still think we could do better. You know what I mean? That's like my mentality. And that's how I push everybody. Now I drive people nuts. I do. But at the same time, I feel like that also makes them better. Now, some people, they don't like that. Like it just doesn't work for them. Some people need to be pushed in different ways. It took me a long time to even understand that. Perfect example, that's my brother. Hired my brother on. I fired him after 3 weeks. I felt like I was back in the Army. I felt like I was the drill sergeant, waking him up so he can go into the office to make my job easier. But here I am yelling, screaming, get up, get up. Because, he got divorced. He moved in with me. And I said, listen, you can stay here as long as you want. You can't work for me anymore. It's just not for you. And what I learned, I'm like, man, I have this opportunity for you to make a lot of money, more than you've ever made before. Because he worked at the jail too, and when he worked at the jail, the guys would call me, Sam, he's nothing like you. I say, I know he's totally different. I just didn't understand that people that did want to get to a different level. That's always been on my mind. Ever since I worked at the jail, even before that, I used to, my buddy worked at the jail. He reminded me when I did his kitchen. He says, Sam, remember that thermostat you drew that you had in your locker? Every $1,000 you start to fill it in. And then once you got that 10,000, you buy another rental property. Well, that's what I did back then. And I still do that now. It's just, being able to, take something, and make it better. When I went on that Facebook and someone was saying something negative to a guy, on like a contractor site, I kind of said, who cares, if he did what he said he did or didn't? Look at the message he just put across. The message was phenomenal. And then the guy wrote me back, hey man, he DM'd me, thanks for whatever. And I started talking to him, and then I looked him up. I'm like, you know what? He did sell his company for $100 million. He was doing 500 bath. Now he didn't say the 100 million. He just said he was doing 500 bathrooms a month. And the guy's like, there's no way. Anyone that says no way, or I can't, I say, if you think you can't, you can't. But if you say you can, you can. So I started talking to him, and he was doing the bathrooms, the one-day bathrooms, and his name's Brian Gottlieb. You can look him up. Yeah. Nicest guy, super nice. So from there, he said, Sam, I see what you do. Your work's impeccable. This business, give it 3 years, you're going to thank me later. And, I literally researched that business for a year. That was my aha moment, along with doing the traction right before that. It was kind of like, hey, I'm doing great now. I could do something else. My wife's like, don't do anything else. We're good. And I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love it. I get in there and I want to crack it. Every day is like a new high for me. So, starting that bathroom, in the beginning with the marketing, I'm like, the most I ever spent before was like $3,000 a month. And this was like years ago when I was first starting. But now these guys, this is my one source. I spent $90,000 this year for the one-day bathroom, but it converted over to $1.6 million in sales. So now I got the system down. Now I'm like, oh my God, I could take this anywhere and just rinse and repeat it. So, that's what we're doing. I'm up to 3 salesmen with them, and, we're going to do over $5 million in our first full year.
Nice, man. Man, it's very inspiring, I have to say. I believe that entrepreneurs like you and I equate us to like a shark, in the sense that sharks never swim to a destination and stop. That's what they do. Right. They swim. There is no destination. No. And I think entrepreneurs, people like you and I and other people we know, that is our life. Like, there is no place that an entrepreneur goes except maybe to go die. But other than that, I don't believe that there is a place that we stop, right? I think that we are the journey. This Absolutely. Is what we are born and bred to do. And I always say, entrepreneurs are not born to celebrate. We're born for battle. We're born to go out and fight and do what we love doing, because it's the thrill of the hunt. It's not the money. Listen, once primal needs are secure, it's now just we're doing it for our own reason. Let me ask you this. Like, I don't know you except what we've talked, but I have a very strong feeling that every day you get up and fight for what's important to you. What is that you're fighting for? Like, what are you fighting for or against every day?
Yep. Again, coming from literally, I'd say middle class, right? And coming from nothing, at first I'm like, oh man, if I could ever have like a big house, I'd be okay. And then, far surpassing that and having multiple houses. And then, if I could ever have like a Mustang, I'd be happy. Now, now I have a Lamborghini, and I'm gonna have a second one coming and a G-Wagon, and having all those things. That's what I thought I wanted. But then once you get them, you realize that's not even important at all. No. Like, who could care? To me, I feel like once you start getting multiple things, it actually becomes a distraction. Having multiple houses, having multiple cars, having multiple things, it becomes more of a distraction than anything else. And then what I found that what I like to do is, as I build myself up, the people around me, I like to build them up and let them get a taste of what it is and what I can do. And then seeing their success is the success that I strive for myself and for them. And then that's kind of what that's my everyday thing. That's what I wake up for. Obviously I want to make sure my family healthy, happy, all that fun stuff. But then everyone around me, I want to be able to raise them up, because that's what we do.
So it sounds like you are stepping into that mentor role of the team that you've built. Is there something that you wish somebody taught or told you, like that you're helping them go, man, if I would have known this 20 years ago, like that would have been good to know? Like, you figured it out, because we always do figure it out.
Sure.
But is there something that you always go, man, if I would have known this would have been great?
Yeah, so I never kind of look back on what I did, but I would tell you, and again, I'm not an excuse maker. I feel like if I had this formula, and if I had the mentorship and the coaching of people that have actually went through it, not someone that just started a coaching program, they're doing that. Someone who actually became successful and actually do it day in and day out, and can go over the things that the bad things that happen, but also the good things that happen. That for me, I couldn't imagine where I'd be at then. But again, I don't. I think this is all part of the journey, right? I'm super happy where I'm at in life. I don't think I'd want to be anywhere else. I wouldn't change a darn thing on what I got going on. I just want to be able to touch other people's lives and be able to give back as much as I possibly can, because that's what's fun to me now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and maybe you and I are in that both phase of life that you bust your butt, you work hard, you accomplish your, you got the medals on the wall and everything to show for it. Now it's like, what do I do with all this information? I think I'm going to give back, and I think I'm going to help, because I don't know if people struggle more than when you and I struggled, or it's just more visible, or people put themselves in bad positions faster. I don't know that. That's not my job to say, but I do think that there's a lot more takers than givers in the world. I think there's a lot more people that take withdrawals out of our soul, out of our trust, than they give back in deposits. And I think that there's a trust deficit out there, in my opinion, that I think what you and I do, helping, giving back, there's a lot to be said. And we don't have to say it. You and I don't have to say I'm a great person because I help these people, because all the calls I take and people that call me in the middle of the night saying, hey man, I need some help. There's no reason to say that. I think for you and I, it's the results of satisfaction, knowing the quiet success. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect example of that, I have like a small group of contractors I told you before that I coach that I handpicked. Like, these are guys, like, they're from different states, and I really like them. I think they're good people. That's what I want. Someone I think is not a good person, or someone that I don't think it has the qualities that will eventually get to a level where I don't think they'll give back. I don't want those guys. Yeah. But the guys I have, I was super, excited about them. And when I see them, get $1 million contract and they wouldn't have had before, and I see them, picking up their sales book, and they're learning how to do the marketing and be able to build themselves and replace themselves. That was awesome. Like yesterday, a guy went on and did a little story about me. Hey, my mentor, I never heard that before. I never thought I would be a mentor, but, my mentor yesterday told me about being accountable, and we went over this job, and I just want to say I'm going to be held accountable for this. And he threw like a shout out to me. I thought it was cool because, little things like that, they matter to him. Like, I felt important, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's nice to feel important. So, for me, that was definitely a game changer on that part, and kind of gives you a little taste of, helping other people, how it comes back to you.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. There's a lot of people out there stuck, and they're surviving barely, if that, right? They're hurting, or financially they're hurting. If you could talk to them, what's a truth? Like, listen, I always tell people I can be nice or I can be honest. I can't be both. Nice. What is a truth that you think they need to hear, even if they're not going to like it, but you're like, dude, this is the truth. What is that to you?
Yeah. So what I do is, when they come to me, I'll talk to them a little bit about business, and I'll try and get an idea on if they're really able to work at it and build it, or if they're not. And I'll tell them, just honestly, I don't think you should have a business. I think you should go work for somebody else, have a job, because, again, this isn't for the weak. Not that you have to be strong, but you do have to be mentally strong. You have to be physically strong, and you have to have the aptitude to be able to build up and stay consistent with whatever you're doing, good, bad, or ugly, every single day for an extended period of time to be able to be successful. And those are the people that I tell them, hey, look, I'll take you on, or hey, look, why don't you try this first and try and build up? But right now you're all over the place, because, again, when you're starting a business and you don't know, you do everything. And I've done everything for years. I'm not going to say I'm one to do that. What I will tell you, though, some people came to me, and I'm honest too. They're like, hey, I want you to coach me because I want more time back. I'm like, yo, I am the wrong person for that, because I utilize every single second I get. And when I replace myself in that, I find something else to fill my time. So I don't know how to do what you do and relax in that relaxed mode. That's not in my nature. Maybe I want it to be, maybe I don't. I don't think I do. I don't think I want it to be like that 4-hour work week. I read that book. I'm like, yeah, it's not for me.
No, yeah, I can relate. What is, as we kind of wrap this up,
yep.
what what is a truth? Something that your core that you live by, even when no one's watching, when the lights are out and you lay your head on the pillow at nighttime, what is something that you will never deviate from?
Again, I think it goes back to the sports competitiveness, all that other stuff. Whether you're watching me or not, I'm always going to go 150% all in. It's the second that, not that, game day, you go in all 150% versus, how you practice is how you play. I really feel like that's the truth for me. How I practice is how I play. And I go 150% all day long, every single day.
Dude, I freaking love that, man. I love that. What's next for Sam, right? You've got your real estate, you've got your business. Where are you in 5 years? I'm just curious because, man, I want to watch your journey because I'm kind of excited to see what you got going on now.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like I need to do a reset of my goals. Every goal I had, I surpassed, even with the one-day bathroom, which is exciting. So now it's really time to see what I can get. I think in one way or another, I want to expand out that business out into Florida, work my way on the East Coast. I started to bring in my own products. So in September, I did like a dry run, a little, If Good to Great is a good book. You got to watch. So it's bullets before cannonballs. I did the bullets in December. I started bringing material in, start using it, know what's good, what's bad. Now I'm going to dial in, start another company that distributes to bathroom companies, the one-day bathroom company. So now I have all the products in stock, and then I'd be able to distribute it out to all the people that are in our little membership team. So they have exclusive rights to these products. Because again, when you're small, it sucks because you get these big companies like Moen and Kohler. I don't even know how I can say this now, but you call them up like, hey, well, how much volume do? Oh, you only do 5 million, 10 million. Some of these guys do under 1 million, 15 million. You can't get anything. But if you're the PE companies, they get all the good stuff, all the exclusive stuff. I want to be able to offer to someone that just specializes in bathrooms, someone building their business up to a certain level, and then this way we can all expand together.
So you're creating your own distribution network, essentially, huh?
Yes. Yep. That's my next
awesome,
level,
man. That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, Sam, dude, I really enjoyed talking to you. If people want to follow you and talk to you, where do they find you, man? Because you have an inspiring story, brother.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Well, we own Showcase for Models. So you can always look that up. But you always get a hold of me on any of my social medias under Sam DeMaio. It's DEMAIO. And be happy to help any way I can.
Dude, I'm so bummed you're not going to be able to come to our conference because
I am too.
These are, I mean, you see the list. These are your people, man.
Over there.
Yeah. It's going to be one for the books. I'm pulling out all the stops of like people like you and I. The one thing I will say is when you're authentic, like you and I are.
Yep.
And you ask someone for a favor, they have no problem going, you know what, Steve? Absolutely, I will be there. And every single one of these speakers is someone that I can call a personal friend that I can call and say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want you to do. Would you be willing to come and help? And every single one of them was like, Steve, 1000% I will come. I actually had a couple of speakers that were mentors of mine. And they're like, hey, man, do you want me to come? I'm like, oh, man, I'm already full. I don't even know how to say it,
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's a good feeling. It's good. It just shows there's good people there that are willing. I'm not doing a pitch fest. There's no selling. This is just to build a community and educate. And that is the reason. So
absolutely.
Sam, if not this one, the next one, maybe we'll do something in the future. Who knows? But I want to thank you for your time, man, because you truly are a blessed person. And I think that what you're doing is awesome. And I think more people need to hear what your life is about and what you're doing, because you're obviously not stopping. You are continuing the march, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, Steve. I really do. I think you're a great person. You get it done. There's no BS with you. It's bam, 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 out. Whoa, we're done.
Yeah.
I love that. I
don't want to waste time. I want to respect your time, respect my time. Let's knock it out. Give these people what they want and let them move on,
Yep.
So, well, Sam, thank you. And for everyone watching on High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg, this was a supercharged 30 minutes. Bam, it's in the can. Now you know how we do this. So on behalf of Sam and myself, thank you for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week.
You got it. Thank you.